What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. And with this video, we are jumping back into our indie comics weekend. It's something that we haven't done in quite some time, but for today, I do have one issue for you, and it is Nocterra issue number 7. If you have not been keeping up with this amazing run by Scott Snyder, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It is going to get you completely caught up on everything going on with this series. And if you're new to the comic, this is also a great opportunity to jump into the story. As we jump into a new story arc, in the beginning we're getting a quick recap of everything that has transpired and the world that they are living in, because this world is complete darkness. This story picking up 15 years after what they call the Big PM. 14 years ago, when the world went dark, and that is when the creatures of the night, known as Shades, began to make their descent on all of humanity and everything that moves, and the survivors that are left standing. And so what is left of humanity? They are hiding out on what they call outposts. These are places that are extremely well lit, and they keep the Shades away. Be sure to buy the comic, support the industry, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright guys, so as we jump into this brand new story arc, I am really excited. This is honestly one of my favorite indie comic lines, at least one of them currently coming out. And with issue 7 pushing us forward, we are picking up with some narration by Bailey, aka Piper. Piper is the call sign that she uses. And if you'll remember in the last story arc, Piper was the granddaughter of Augustus. Augustus, he is the one who claimed that they started the Big PM. But he also claims that there is a way to bring the light back. And so Bailey and the rest of the Ferrymen, that is their main goal right now. Now Ferrymen, they are people that drive semi-trucks and get people from one outpost to another. Usually well-defended, well-lit semi-trucks. And that is because the Shades are always lurking, always waiting in the dark. And we learn a little bit more about the Shades, because the truth is, the Shades have been mutating ever since they began, with them being able to mate interspecies after they have been taken over by these Shades. We are getting some crazy looking Shades out there. And so as our Ferrymen are making their way across the darkness, we get a quick introduction to everybody in this convoy. We have already met Piper, and we know who Val Riggs is. She is the leader of the convoy and the main character throughout this whole story. And then you have Bellwether. Bellwether, her rig is set up with some of the brightest lights to ever exist. Her lights are so powerful that when she hits that switch, it shuts down her truck at least for a couple of minutes so the batteries get an opportunity to recharge. And then you have Slab, as well as Callie. And altogether, these guys, they make a very formidable crew. Last but not least is Emory, the little brother to Val, our convoy leader. Now, Emory in the last story arc, he had almost turned into a Shade. They were able to reverse the process, something that can be done but is very difficult to do, especially once the infection has really got a hold of them. And so with our crew making to an outpost that is known as the Drive-In, and that is because it has screens going constantly, movies on constant rotation, ensuring that there is always light at this outpost. And they are here to get information. Anything on Augustus McCrae, anything on EOS. And they have been traveling for the last month, backtracking everywhere Augustus has been, trying to find out where he has been and where this place EOS might be, bringing them to the Drive-In, one of the most secure outposts left in all of humanity. This place is 100% self-efficient. And the reason that the Drive-In is so protected is because there are Shades out there known as Megas. These things are 10 times worse than human Shades. Human Shades being the top apex predator, or that is what it was thought to believe until the shades started breeding in water. Something about the water composition turns these things into the ultimate apex predator. And with there being a bay nearby, the drive-in has had to try to protect itself from megas and human shades for as long as the Big PM has existed. But with them dismounting and going and checking in the drive-in, they are looking for any sign that Gus has been here. Leaving behind in his journal is an equation. This equation supposedly will bring back the light, and they need to take this equation to Eos. The only problem is they have no idea where that is. That secret, it died with Augustus. But as our convoy begins to walk around the drive-in, they notice something very eerie. What they notice is that there are no people at this outpost. This is something that they don't really understand, because if this had been shades or even human shades, all of the lights would have been taken out, this place would have been destroyed, and there would be bodies everywhere. Lucky for them, they find a survivor, and he lets them know that this was something different. This was something new. Usually the shades, they never come this close to the lights, but they did. They came wave after wave until all of the city's defenses had fallen. There was nothing they could do to stop them from coming in. The shades, burning on fire, continued to charge the line. The only thing is, they didn't kill anybody in the outpost. What they did was grabbed every single human being and they drug them off into the darkness. This is highly unusual for shades. This is something that has never been seen before. No one really understands what is going on. But Emory, he does have a theory, with him being the one closest to ever turning into a shade. In that time, he was given visions of this kind of hive mind that was going on. Now, they have known human shades. They have their own form of language. And by all appearances, these human shades, they seem to have a very primitive form of communication. But Emory thinks that maybe they've been looking at it all wrong. Maybe these human shades have been presenting themselves as inferior. That maybe, just maybe, they are much smarter than we give them credit for, and they have a bigger plan at play. And whatever it is all coming to a head very soon. This was the first strike. And so all of them recognizing that they need to get out of here as quickly as possible, they all take off and head directly for their trucks. As they hop in and begin burning out, what they have above them are megas. Flying shades coming in to take them out. And that's when our story takes us to the one and only Blacktop Bill. Now, if you didn't catch the Blacktop Bill origin story, be sure to go check that out on my channel because I did cover that issue. But we're picking up with Blacktop Bill. He is using some kind of helmet machine. We don't really know what this is, but maybe it's a way for him to communicate better with the shades. Blacktop Bill kind of being a hybrid between human and shade. Blacktop Bill, though, he was created by humans. And what Blacktop Bill is doing is straight up executing these very godly people going around the wasteland and trying to spread the word of Jesus Christ. And he murdered them specifically to take all of their power to power this helmet. But with Blacktop Bill taking out this old lady, this is where we see three individuals that look exactly like Blacktop Bill. This is the first time that we have ever seen anybody that looks like Blacktop Bill. Simply just a silhouette. Blacktop Bill, he appears to have some kind of boss. This boss had sent him on a mission to kill Augustus, destroy the journal with the equation, destroy the convoy, and to protect the prism. Blacktop Bill obviously failing on all of these accounts, turning Augustus into a shade, not destroying the convoy, and not being able to protect the prism. And so these other guys have been sent here to kill Blacktop Bill. Unfortunately for them, he gets the draw on them. Being faster, being quicker, he takes out all three of them and drops all three silhouettes right there on the spot. And so Blacktop Bill, it looks like he has made a new enemy, and that enemy is the people who created him. Meanwhile, we are picking up with our convoy. They are currently hauling down the asphalt, and this is when the Omegas, they start to pick up one of the semi-trucks. Picking up this truck as they are going over a bridge. This is where they tell Bellwether to hit that switch. With her pressing the button, we see the light show commence. With lights going out in every single direction, the Megas, they scurry in every other way. Unfortunately, for Slab, the Megas had already picked him up. They drop him down into the river. Luckily, they were able to escape the cab before it went under. Unlucky for them, this is where we see a giant freaking shade. A shade that appears to have taken over a whale. And it comes up out of the water and it gulps the two in one swallow. And so Val telling them that they will tow Bellwether's truck off of the bridge, that they need to get away from the water, and at least for the time being, the Megas have left. But now they have to figure out what their next course of action is going to be. Because after months of going back and forth between outposts, trying to find any clue of where this place Eos is, they now only have one individual that they can get this information from. They only have one more lead, with Val making the decision that they are going hunting for Blacktop Bill. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I cannot praise this comic enough. From the artwork to the story, Scott Snyder really has knocked it out of the park with this indie comic. I just think it's really nice, it's really original. It's something that we haven't seen before, and it's nice to get something new in the big Marvel DC world that we usually cover. There's so many comics out there that cover superheroes and superpowered individuals, but for me, I love that dystopian, post-apocalyptic storyline. And this is 100% it. Like I have said from the beginning, I would love to see this story adapted into a TV show, because it reminds me a lot of Riddick, The Chronicles of Riddick, Pitch Black, all of those movies. It reminds me a lot of that aspect. And I was very curious where the second story arc was going to take us. But what we are seeing is the convoy is now trying to get the light back. They are trying to save the world. But I think our convoy, they're going to find it much more difficult than they ever thought possible. There seems to be some kind of organization out there working against them. Possibly the individuals that started the Big PM to begin with. Not knowing how big this organization is, not knowing really how powerful it is, we know that they create these assassin killers that look nothing more like silhouettes, looking like hybrid shades, fully cognitive, fully understanding everything around them, but also so much more. So if you're looking to dive into some indie comics, this is one I highly recommend. You will not be disappointed picking up this series. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you have not yet, please do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.